That's it, Laura. Take a shortcut there, babe. Right. I want to tell you guys a story about a little boy named Chris. And when Chris was little, he used to hate it when grown-ups would ask him the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many of you have ever heard that question before? That's still a real popular one, isn't it? What do you want to be when you grow up? He thought, I'm just a kid. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But one day that question really started to bother him. And as he did with most things, when something really bothered him, he went to his mom to talk it out. How many of you guys talk to your mom about things that are bothering you, or your dad? Yeah, it's good. He said, Mom, how do I figure out what I want to be when I grow up? And she said, well, Chris, you got to figure out 3 things. You have to figure out what you're good at, what the world needs, and what makes your heart glad. So, he thought about that for a while. He thought. It came around Christmas time, actually the beginning of December, and his mom told him a story about St. Nicholas. You guys remember that story about St. Nicholas? Santa! Yeah, you're a little bit ahead of me there, actually. You heard the Polar Express, too. It's also a very good story. You did? It's amazing. You're very, whoa. Well, let me tell you about this St. Nicholas thing. His mom, Chris's mom, told him a story about St. Nicholas, who had a lot of money. He was a very generous man, and he would give money to the poor families in his neighborhood to help them survive through the winter. And because he didn't want to draw attention to himself, he would do it kind of on the down low. He'd toss a bag of gold coins into their house when they were sleeping, and it just happened to be just the thing they needed to get through the winter. And he loved that story. He thought, you know what? Maybe I could do something like that when I grow up, because I'm really good at buying presents for people. I'm really good at figuring out what they need. There's a lot of things I'm not good at. I'm not good at running. I'm not really good at drawing. I kind of have a hard time with spelling words, but I'm really good at choosing gifts. And he also knew that one thing the world needed was to remember the Spirit of God and the Spirit of giving, especially during Christmas. And he said one thing that made his heart glad is to help people remember generosity and charity at Christmas time. So that little boy grew up into a big boy. And that big boy then grew up into a young man. And it was time for him to make his way in the world. So he went up to the North Pole where he bought some land, because real estate is very cheap up there. And he got some elves to help. And he paid them really decent, livable wages. And they unionized. And everyone was happy. And they were very good workers. And the elves, do you know what the elves did all day? They made Christmas presents for people. So that Chris could deliver them on Christmas. Not so people would love him more. And not so people would love presents more. But so people would remember that God is a giving God and a generous God who gave his son for us to come into the manger. His birthday. And so Chris thought, you know what I need now? I got my elves all set. They got the toys going. I got the North Pole. I need a suit in my favorite color. I'm going to elves to make me a suit of red. And then he said, I'm going to need a name. I kind of wanted to pick St. Nicholas, but he was a real guy and that name's already taken. So I'm going to pick a name that sounds like St. Nicholas. And I'm going to call myself Santa Claus. And so, to this day, Santa Claus comes bringing gifts on Christmas, not to make us like Santa anymore, not to make us like toys anymore, but to help us remember that God is a generous God who likes to give. And so we're very thankful for that. Let's stand up and say a prayer. Let's join hands. Let's hold them together, baby Jesus, and sweet. Dear God, thank you for your generosity. Thank you for giving us St. Nicholas to be an inspiration, and thank you for giving us Santa Claus, who teaches us about God's love and God's generosity. Help us to always have that spirit in our hearts at Christmas and always. Amen.